So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is an arcade-style beat-em-up that released on June 16, 2022. I had never played this game when it released, but had heard great things about it by various friends, until one day, my friend Nero decided to stream it for the first time and asked me if I had the game, in which I replied, I do. We decided to do the story mode of the game on gnarly difficulty. Keep in mind that none of us had any idea of what would come. Nero went with good old April O'Neil and I went with Michelangelo for the co-op playthrough. And we were quickly humbled by the game's difficulty. After beating our first levels, we were earning a couple of trophies along the way, such as doing a high five 3 times in one stage, reviving each other, doing team attacks, eating pizza, and throwing enemies at the screen, because why not? While having a blast in our co-op playthrough, I unlocked a move that I decided to spam the living life out of, Liu Kang's bicycle kick, which ultimately ended up in me making sounds like my buddy G does when he is kicking ass.
Guess what? I'm the captain now.
Guess what? I am Liu Kang.
Yeah, doing bicycle kicks was a lot of fun for me. At one point during the stream, my internet decided to die on me. Yeah, unfortunate. Both kicking me out of the co-op session and closing my stream. Thankfully, Nero was able to stream the rest of the playthrough on his side, and we didn't lose any progress. After getting tossed around by Super Shredder, and by that I mean a lot.
Jump and dodge, jump and dodge, jump and dodge.
Oh shit!
We managed to take the win and finished our co-op playthrough, earning us both our respective endings and trophies. We both had a blast playing this game, but there was more for me to do after that. After I took a view of the trophies, I had decided to become a master of Ninjutsu and work my way to the Platinum Trophy. So, my journey began with getting most of the miscellaneous trophies out of the way first, such as breaking the law of objects. Quick pause here, I honestly just got this while playing the game to prepare for the hardest trophies, just giving you a heads up there. Playing as Casey Jones, as well as making Raphael and Casey do a quick high five. This was a weird trophy, but hey, who am I to complain about an easy trophy? Now, I do admit that there was a trophy that definitely took a long time to complete, since it involved a lot of grinding, but I was determined to finish this journey to the end. I had started with replaying story mode, this time with Raphael, collecting any collectibles and cameos that I had missed in the co-op playthrough with Nero. This would also award me a trophy for finding all collectibles and completing all requests from the cameos. I actually memorized where all cameos and collectibles were, as I will be needing these later on. After beating the story mode on Gnarly once again, I decided to tackle on one of the hardest trophies of the game, which was beating arcade mode in one sitting on the hardest difficulty, which is still gnarly. I admit that this was probably the dumbest idea I had ever thought of, since you have limited lives, no checkpoints, and I have only beaten the game twice, which means that if I died and used all of my continues, I would be going back to the beginning and have to start again. Well, that sounds like a great deal for me, so sign me up! I went with my favorite Ninja Turtle, Michelangelo, since he is the fastest character other than April O'Neil, and was the one I used in my first playthrough. I began my first playthrough of arcade mode and noticed something. I have all abilities unlocked, minus the health upgrade, 1-up upgrades, and radical mode. This was nice to know, since I'm able to use the jumping super attack on the first level and onwards. You bet, I use this a lot against groups of enemies and bosses. All episodes were going pretty smooth, until I got to episode 11. I admit that I wasn't prepared for this episode, since the enemies in this episode would be tackling me all over the place, and the boss itself was one that I had struggled on the most, even on my second playthrough with Raphael. But I still pressed forward, and died to him. A lot, actually. So much that I ended up having to use my first continue, and also my second continue. Yeah, I probably should have practiced this episode and boss fight more before taking on this challenge. Anyways, I pushed on forward with my last continue and managed to beat the arcade mode on the hardest difficulty. It's what I wish I could say, but no, I ended up reaching episode 13 with only one life and died. So back to the title screen. Before I went for my second run in arcade mode, I actually went and prepared a bit by beating up all the dinosaurs in episode 11 so I can actually know what to do when I got to it in arcade mode. After beating them up a couple of times and getting a good night rest, I wasted no time and went back to arcade mode to start my salty run back. While I was super jumping everyone to death once again, I managed to find a little spot that allowed me to get a 250 hit combo. This was done in episode 10 by bullying this little robot into the wall until I got to 250 hits. This was as tedious as you could imagine, and it also made my thumb hurt. Didn't help that I was doing this during the second run of arcade mode in gnarly difficulty. Eventually, I reached episode 11 and actually beat the level without dying. The boss didn't really do anything this time. I admit I got lucky, but hey, who am I to complain about an easy win? I also forgot to mention that you are able to earn extra lives for every 200 points you earn, so it was very helpful to know where all cameos and collectibles were, since these awarded me with extra points, and knowing where all the hidden pizza is located at was a big help as well. Anyways, episode 12 wasn't that hard, other than the annoying robots that kept running away from me, but not a problem once I got a rhythm. I kept proceeding through the levels and didn't really have any trouble going through them. I hadn't even used up a single continue, but Shredder had a different plan and ruined my run of getting 2 trophies in one go. I'm referring to the Master of 1 Quarter and Like the Old Days trophies. For a little background on these trophies, the Master of 1 Quarter involves beating all of arcade mode without using continues. Can be done in any difficulty. And Like the Old Days is just beating arcade mode on the hardest difficulty. Continues are allowed. So you can imagine how annoyed I was that I had to repeat arcade mode for the trophy I didn't get. Thanks, Shredder. I kept going through the gnarly arcade mode, beat it up Super Shredder, finished arcade mode, and got my trophy. Yeah, there really wasn't much to say after this. So the next day came by, and there were still more trophies for me to earn to become the Master of Ninjutsu. I went back into arcade mode once again, this time on chill difficulty, to earn the last 2 trophies I needed, which were Master of 1 Quarter and Classic Couch Memories. I blasted through all of arcade mode in one go, since I was already hardened due to beating it on gnarly difficulty the previous day. Everything was essentially the same, except for when I reached episode 16, when I decided to plug in a second controller and see if I was able to earn both of these trophies at the same time. This is due to Classic Couch Memories requiring to beat arcade mode in multiplayer. I was controlling both characters as best I could, beat the final episode, and actually got both trophies in one go. So that's a relief, no more arcade mode from this point forward. But it did begin the final stage of the journey, which involved a lot of grinding. And I mean a lot of grinding. The No Need for Mutagen trophy is literally getting all characters leveled up to level 10. Of those, I still needed to level up 5 more characters: Leonardo, Donatello, Splinter, April, and Casey. It didn't matter which order I went with, I was essentially going to use all of them. I repeated story mode a total of 5 separate times, by resetting my story progress with every character so that I would be able to collect the cameos and their side quests to speed up the process. Doing all of this after I had already done the arcade mode trophies just made this process more of a chore, but it still needed to be done, as there were some trophies that were connected to certain characters, such as defeating Rat King as Splinter, and having to see all endings with all characters. I also did the 250 combo with Leonardo, April, and Splinter by bullying the same robot into a wall. Why? Honestly, just because I wanted to see if I could do it with other characters, which is a lame excuse. Once I was done grinding with all characters, getting them to maximum level, and seeing their respective endings, it was time for my final challenge, the Who Needs a Doc Trophy, which was to defeat Super Shredder without taking a hit, keeping pretty good emphasis on the word hit, as this will be important. I did this on the easiest difficulty, because why not? It was the last trophy, wasn't going to stress myself by going gnarly on this one. I failed multiple times until I finally beat Super Shredder without taking any damage. And as you can see at the bottom of the screen, the challenge of beating episode 16 without taking damage was done. But where's my trophy? That's right, I didn't receive the trophy. But why? I clearly beat the level without taking damage. Was it bugged? To answer that question, no, it wasn't. Turns out that even getting hit by this tackle, which I may state, does no damage to you, counts as getting hit and completely voids earning the trophy. So yeah, I went for the salty rumback once again, this time making sure he doesn't touch me at all. I focused my mind to see every frame of his attacks and dodged appropriately when I saw him going for me. And like that, I snatched victory from Shredder one final time. This time having a complete, flawless victory against him, awarding me my final trophy and the platinum. I had become an honorable sensei and a master of ninjutsu. Ranking the top 3 hardest trophies from this platinum trophy journey would be the following. Keep in mind that all these can be exchanged with one another depending on your personal skill level. Coming in at number 3 was the 250 hit combo, as you do need a good rhythm and hitting spot, as doing this to a regular Foot Clan ninja doesn't work, since they splat on the wall. Number 2 goes to beating Super Shredder without taking a single hit, as either doing the wrong dodge or misreading his incoming attack can lead to multiple tries. One advice on this is to never stay or dodge to the middle, because of the clone attack, and this led to me having to do multiple tries. And the number 1 spot goes to beating arcade mode on gnarly difficulty. I may have made it sound like I didn't have much trouble, but believe me, I did. Knowing where all the pizza and secret collectibles are will help you, as you will need to save as many extra lives as possible for when you really need them. So there you have it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge was an amazing throwback to classic arcade beat-em-up games that I highly recommend to anyone to try out. Even if you don't know much about TMNT, I guarantee you that you will have a fun time playing this game. And if you want to become a master of ninjutsu and earn the platinum trophy, I wish you the best of luck, patience, and skill, as you will need it. See you all next time.